and actually something that I would perhaps probably want to do a whole session on at one time, where women say that men have to, if he's interested in me, he has to love me and take me as I am. He has to like me for who I am, right? A lot of women who make that statement, they don't like their own selves. They don't even like their self, but they want a man to take them as they are. So when I'm not happy, not happy single, they sometimes they feel like, what is wrong with me? I keep doing the same things over and over. And you come down on yourself and then you make a statement like, I shouldn't have to change for any man, right? Which I'm sure I'd have one or two women on this call who made that statement at some time, right? I shouldn't have to change for no man. Why I had to change my ways for a man for? If you love me, take me so, right? So I disagree with that statement. And we can all, it's actually a very ignorant statement to make, because love actually is supposed to compel you to want to be better. And now there's a big difference from wanting to change maybe toxic or unhealthy ways and somebody coming into your life and trying to actually now actually attack your identity and who you are, and trying to, let's say somebody who comes into your life and let's say you like all your life you've liked classical music, and you meet this guy who he only like rock or whatever the case may be, and he insists that you stop. This may be a dumb example, but still example. He insists that you must stop listening to your classical music because he doesn't like it, and you should listen to pop music because he likes, or rock or whatever. Then that's an issue. Or let's say there are some men now. I'm not talking about somebody who, okay, there are people who are overweight, there are women who might be overweight, right? I don't think it's ideal for anybody to be overweight. It is unhealthy. And I mean, you feel better and look better at your ideal weight, right? And so I'm not talking about somebody encouraging you to be healthy and do better, but somebody who's trying to make you and sculpt you into somebody that you're not. Somebody, let's say a guy comes into your life and you're not, you're cool, you're not overweight, but you may not be a slim, figure eight type person or Coca-Cola type person, but he's trying to actually reshape you into something that he has in his imagination that a woman should be, and have you going to the gym and insisting that let's say your butt mightn't be that, luscious for him. And he have you going to the gym doing squats until you can't squat no more. So there's a difference in somebody trying to totally change who you are to suit their fantasies or what they think is an ideal woman, and someone who's really just trying to help you to be better, to be the best version of yourself, trying to help you to get over your toxic, unhealthy habits and characteristics and ways that you of yourself, if you would be honest, would agree that you have unhealthy habits. And so before I go on, ladies, you are free to type in the chat while I speak, no problem. You could comment. I may not be able to get it while I'm doing the session, but we'll certainly come to it at the end when Celeste stops the YouTube stream. We'll talk back and forth. You could unmute your mic and we could chat, right? I think I saw somebody new. Danielle, welcome. Yeah, so this is free, no judgment. And so this list, I have two sets of lists, right? The first set, these are the smaller things that could get big. And these are the things that perhaps would turn somebody off in the dating phase. And these are like these smaller things, the little things that irritate men generally, that a man could say while dating, I think I want to go down this road, right? This is not necessarily things that would, let's say, could end a marriage, or maybe some of them over a period and building up. But these are I have small things that could turn men off initially. And then I have the more serious stuff that could actually cause a breakdown in a marriage, right? And women are prone to doing these things. So it's not just a list of people's bad habits, because that's like an endless, I could call all kind of things. People get turned off by all kinds of things, and it's your personal preference. Nobody can get vexed with you. I don't know how many of you remember, we had a call some time ago, and someone said they were dating, and the guy she said he was a nice guy and everything, And I think what turned her off, she ended the relationship when he said he did not know where her uterus was, right? He did not know where her uterus was in her body, in the human body, and that turned her off. Listen, that is her prerogative, right? Her thinking may have been, I always want somebody more educated, somebody perhaps who could teach my children and maybe teach me. That's her preference, right? So if I look to make a whole general list of things that women do that men, I will never stop. But these are the most common ones. So ladies, there is merit in it. I want you to look at yourself. This is for you. This is for self-improvement, for you to get better. If you are single, if you are married, you are going to benefit from this, right? If you are single and you're into the dating game, or you're looking or whatever, let me don't say dating as a game, it ain't no game, but you all know what I mean, right? You're looking, your eyes open. These are things that if you find it in yourself, do some introspection and say, why am I like this, right? And some of them, it's not only a turn off to a man, it's a general undesirable trait that you shouldn't have in the first place, right? But it's things that men just can't deal with when it comes to women, right? And women, we know we have our things that turn us off from men too, right? But this is a woman's call, so it's all about you ladies, right? I can't bring up the other side, right? Okay, so I'm going to start. These are the little things. These are the things that could turn a man off, let's say, while dating or in the early stages of meeting you. Now, let me clarify this too, right? There are some men who get into relationships, who start dating, who meet a woman and, start getting friendly with her. And they have the wrong intention from the beginning. And so there are certain things that the guy may not like, but he will tolerate to accomplish his goal. So let's say his goal is to sleep with you, because some men will play the long game to get you in bed, right? And so there's things that you are doing that irking him, that like he can't stand, but he playing the long game and he going along with it because he know at the end of the day what he wants to accomplish. It doesn't mean it's not a turn off to him. He's basically using you. There are men that go into relationships with women for all kinds of things, but I'm talking about a regular man who really just looking to settle down with somebody and looking for somebody who he could make a wife, and well, we go to the other list where it is within a marriage, right? So we know it have some guys, you could have the worst traits in the world. They don't care. Once you look like what they want, right? They're going to press through all your bad habits to be with you, right? So we're not talking about that kind of guy. Because I know some women might say, well, I was with a fella and I used to do this and that and this, and he didn't care. Maybe because he never had any intention of making you his wife. It was just about a temporary, whatever temporary gain he wanted, right? So number one, ladies, again, I'm not judging you. I want to try to help you, right? Number one, and these things I am going to list here were the most common. Every single place you go to research, these were here, right? Being too clingy, showing too much interest or desperation, texting too much, calling too much, not giving the man his personal space, making him your world, right? All of that falls under clingy, right? Men, you might think it may be flattering for a man if you make him your world. And by that I mean you are so infatuated by him, right, that you want to text him throughout the day. You want to call ever so often. If he don't text you back, you're texting him, how come you didn't text me, right? You want to meet up with him every day after work. He might say one day of the week, well, nah, I want to play football, or I want to go and do this, I want to go and do that. And if he doesn't meet up with you 1 day or 2 days, you take offense to that. You're not giving him his personal space at all. Now, men love it when, if a man gets to know a woman and he like her, he wants you to be with him, of course. Of course, he wants to spend time with you, of course. But if it's becoming almost like where he's feeling like, okay, I have to give this girl my all, and where it even causing him a bit of anxiety, if he realized that he can't call you back within a particular time, that you're going to hear talk, or you're going to ask questions, and if you realize that this is going to be me catering to this woman emotional needs and I have to be there for everything. I had to be checking up every day. She wants to know my every move. I have no personal space. There's no man on this earth, ladies, who will want that on a long-term basis. And I think if men see that early up front, it gives them the idea that you are going to be dependent and dependent on him to meet all of your needs, right? I'm not talking about needs like a house and a car and that kind of thing, right? I'm talking about your emotional needs. He's going to realize that this woman happiness is going to be based on me. And that is a pressure that no man wants. And so, ladies, that was number one. Now, when I say number one, sorry, that wasn't the number one thing. It's number one on my list here. That wasn't the number one thing, right? But that is definitely one of the big things that no man wants to deal with. No man should be your world. If you were on the call last week, you would know that the only one person that you are to be so dependent on and you can look to God for every need, physical, emotional, social, mental, whatever. Look to God. Make him your everything. You can make him your source. You could listen, you can take the whole weight of your life, everything you're feeling and want, throw it on him. Right? But no man is able to carry that weight. No man is able to be that for you, ladies. And so there are little telltale signs that shows a man that this is the type of woman I'm dealing with here. The excessive texting and calling every minute is one. That is no. Let me make a statement here. There's a type of man who will enjoy that and actually will take advantage of the needy woman, right? A man who is naturally like a narcissist, he will enjoy that kind of dependence. He will work that to his advantage, right? But that is not going to turn out good. He actually wants you to be dependent on him, right? To have the upper hand on you. Some men who may be abusive, they know that, okay, I could take advantage of this woman, right? You don't want to put anybody in that place in your life that if they do something to hurt you or disappoint you, that your world is destroyed, that you can't function, you fall to pieces, you don't know which way to turn because this man was your world, right? There are men who may like that, but their intentions are not good, right? So that was number one. Number two, remember, these are the little things. So ladies, don't despise this. Women who are always late, right? This was surprisingly on most of the lists that I checked. Women who are always late. He said, I'm coming to pick you up at 7, and without fail, you ready by 6:30, right? Life happens, ladies. There are times when you're late, you can't help it. Unforeseen circumstances come up, and you really can't do anything about it. In a case like that, maybe you could call ahead and say, here, what's going on? I know we said 7, but I am not going to make it for 7. So don't come 7, come 7:30. What they don't like is for y'all to set a time and you say, okay, yeah, I'll be ready. They ask you, you're sure 7? And you say, yeah, 7 o'clock. And they wait. And if they realize that becomes a habit, that could be a turn off. And it could also be an indication of other things in your life that may not be so disciplined, right? And so a man who, now remember, we're talking about a man who may be looking for somebody to be his wife, to take care of the home, his children, to be, right? And you always late. Think about it. It's something that irritates men. Many men have said that. They're like, I can't take it, boy. I can't take it. Every time I go, she late. Sorry, excuse. I hear a lot of husbands complain too. Oh gosh, boy, I'm trying to be on time and this one always keeping me late. Always, what's the word? Titivain. That's a part of it. Titivain. Turning here, turning there. Trying to make 100 turns before we could leave the house, right? So it's something that irritates men, right? And ladies, please don't be here sitting down listening to me and saying things like, well, men does be late too. What about them? Them does be late too. We just can't take that either. I'm talking to you today. And that's a human problem. That thing that we do, that when we start to feel like, okay, this is coming at me, this is hitting me, we start, because we don't want to look within, we start to look without and look to blame and say, well, okay, well, they late too or whatever. Today, what we're doing is we're doing introspection. We're looking at our lives and we're seeing how we could improve and be better. And I'm telling you, the constantly being late thing, it irritates men, right? So Get yourself in order, get yourself together, start getting ready earlier or whatever the case may be, right? Number 3, women who are loud. I've never in my life met a man who has said, man, I like a loud woman, boy. I like when I wake up in the morning and I hear that voice. Johnny, come on, go. Yeah. I love it. I love the noise. I love it. I've never heard a man say it. However, I have heard over a dozen men say they cannot take a loud woman. They cannot deal with a loud woman. Somebody who is talking loud for no good reason. So we having a conversation, not a woman who likes to shout. Nobody likes that either, right? Johnny, and nobody likes a woman who likes to quarrel either. But I'm talking about a woman who just talking loud for no good reason. They say, watch, oops, I'm right here, take it down. Don't shout at me, I'm right here. And most times women who are like that don't even realize they're shouting, right? So we just having a conversation and you loud, everybody hearing what's going on. When you walk in a room, everybody know because your voice louder than everybody else. So men are turned off by that, ladies. I'm just telling you. It's something, it's a general thing. That one I am 100% sure of because I've heard it 100 million times, right? So if you are on the loud side, or if you find people keep telling you that, gosh, you're louder, just take stock, ladies, and that is something you're going to have to train yourself and become disciplined to get under control, because more than likely that's just a part of you and it's how you communicate. It's probably how you were taught to communicate. It's probably what you saw growing up in your home. So that's not something, I think somebody who talks loud habitually, they can't just wake up in the morning and start speaking softer. You're really going to have to reprogram your thinking, and you're going to have to do perhaps some sort of exercise. It's something to tone it down. But it actually in general, even the Bible talks about women. Even the Bible, ladies, talks about women having a quiet and peaceable and meek mentality, right? So women were actually expected to be on the softer side, right? And so it kind of goes against your nature to be a loudmouth, right? So ladies, if that's you, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying work on it. It's not only the men who don't like it, it's actually outside of your natural self as a female. It's not a feminine trait then, that's what I would say, right? So that was number 3. Number 4, and this one too, I know this is a fact as well. Women who are being critical and complain about everything. Drama queens, women who are high maintenance. Those women who go out and everything has to be perfect. Listen, if you're a drama queen and you're high maintenance and you complain because you find everything should be a certain way, you need to migrate from Trinidad. I want to suggest right now that the first thing you do is try to get somebody to apply for you and migrate. Don't stay in Trinidad, because you're going to find a lot of things to complain about in restaurants, in government offices when you go, in car taxis, everywhere you go, you're going to find things to complain about. What men cannot take. Listen, as I step out my door, I could complain. My whole day could be a day to complain if I take on those things, if I focus on those things that are imperfect, right? What a man can't deal with is a woman who's constantly pointing out those things. So you can't tell me that throughout the day, you could only find negative things to comment about or to complain about. There must be positive things you could focus on. And so somebody who's always complaining, somebody who's a drama queen, high maintenance, men cannot deal with high maintenance women, unless of course this glass is making me look pokey. Sorry, that was really random. But my other glasses too strong and giving me headaches. Really random. Sorry to bring that up, right? High maintenance here would be, if I say, so I'm going to tell you, Rhonda, what is high maintenance. I say I want to take you out as a man. I'm a man and I'm taking you out to a restaurant. But I have a budget. My budget is not unreasonable. It's just maybe not to your standards, right? And so you might want to go to, what's an expensive restaurant? Call an expensive restaurant. First, I don't go to them, I don't know. All right, let's say you want to go to Hyatt for dinner, right? That's your standard, right? See, I never even heard of that place. Look at that. So you want to go to Hyatt for dinner. I can't afford Prime. Prime still open and no Prime. So you want to go Prime. The man cannot afford Prime, but he takes you to something more. Let me say, take it to Rizzoni's, right? That's maybe kind of in between. Take it to Rizzoni's. That is not good enough for you. You actually feel by him taking you to Rizzoni's, you feel underappreciated. Like if he's not, that you feel that you deserve more, that Prime is my level and that I'm not, you know, or let's say he buys you a handbag and it's not a brand name handbag. You can't deal with that. It's what is this? What's the name? Whose bag is this? This is not Tory Burch. I don't want it. Why are you giving me a bag with no name? Right? So you have these ridiculously high standards that the man cannot meet, and so you are hard to maintain. That's what high maintenance is. He cannot meet those standards. You are high maintenance, right? Even in terms of emotionally, high maintenance could also be emotional, right? It could kind of tie in with the clinginess as well, right? So, or let's say you buy a certain kind of car. What is a man spends? I'll come to that at the end, right? Your husband say he's going to buy you a car and he buy a note fare. That's all he could afford. He buy a note, right? Man, if Kevin come and tell me Nick's buying a note fare, man, I happy I drive. No, I wouldn't be happy. Sorry, it's because I like cars. I don't lie. But yeah. So let's say your husband say he buying a note fare, but you thought you was going to get an Audi, right? No, he can't afford it, obviously. You know, he can't afford it. Or maybe he could, but there are other things. There are priorities. So you need a car. You say, well, this is what I could do right now. If you are not satisfied with that car, what you need to do is buy then what you can afford. If you so don't want the note, buy what you could afford. But if that's what he could afford right now, I can tell you, right? If a man pick up on that early in the dating stages, especially a man who may not be wealthy, and say any man poor, but he not wealthy, he don't want anything to do with it. Because he know he get an idea what life could look like during dating, right? And so the drama queen, you know, it's just everything is a drama. Everything had to be perfect. Everything had to be, if it's too hot, you're complaining. Oh God, the sun. Why the sun so hot? Why the Caribbean so, you know, that, oh gosh, no, nobody wants to be around somebody like that. If it raining today, of course it's raining. It's just with the puddles, when it raining, it have puddles in the road and nobody, listen, not even women want to be around somebody who's complaining and criticizing everything. Far less for a man. Men can't deal with that at all. Okay, ladies, take it down, right? Right, I get you. A little drive and all might be cool if you say, well, let me just go for a drive. No, a drive? Yeah, you can't deal with that. If the AC in the car not working, you're not having that, right? And right on the heels of that, number 5, women who are rude to waiters or staff or anybody who serves them, right? Men don't like that. It's like a bad smell when they see a woman treating people who, well, serve them. Like you go to a restaurant and you're being very condescending to the waitress or the waiter. You're treating them like somehow they're less than you because they're serving you. You're being rude to them because they probably didn't get an order right or they took too long, anything like that. That is a turn off. That was on all of the lists as well. Men do not like women like that. And it kind of ties in with the high maintenance kind of drama queen vibes, right? No man, it's actually for them, it's actually kind of embarrassing that they with their woman, their girlfriend, and she's being rude. Excuse me, she's being rude to the people who are serving them. Or let's say you're in a taxi and let's say you go in a taxi with him and the taxi is too hot. You ask the man to turn up the AC with attitude. Excuse me, can you turn up the air condition, please? Oh gosh, ladies, don't do it now. If you go into a taxi or a car and you're feeling warm and the AC is on, it's not high enough. Listen, there's a way to do everything. Humble yourself now. Let me tell you something, ladies. You're going to get through better in life with a humble attitude rather than being entitled and having a sense of pride. So the same thing can be said if you're feeling warm. You can just say, sir, excuse me. Oh gosh, is it possible for you to turn up your air conditioner for me a little more? Sorry to ask her. I don't want to be a bother or anything, but I just feel he would either tell you yes or no. But I can tell you, if I was a taxi driver and you come in my car and ask me to turn up my AC like that, I will pull aside and ask you to come out to the car. Without no problem. I'll say, here what? Just come out my taxi for me, please. Right? Take down your attitude, right? And so men can't deal with those things, ladies. They don't like it. It's embarrassing to them, right? And so if you're trying to look for a man and if you feel, I don't know if you feel you was with him and you show him that maybe you were the boss and stuff, they can't take advantage of me here. They come and nobody can take advantage of me here. They're not looking at you and saying, she's strong, boy. No, he looking at you and thinking, whoa, okay, you see this? You see this? I ain't cut out for this, right? So try to take it down, ladies. Don't be rude. And that is a general principle in life. If you are like that on the call, I pray there's nobody like that. What exactly? You think you're better than them or something? What exactly? Why would you exactly speak to someone in such a manner? Anybody. The cleaner in your workplace, the taxi driver, the waitress, anybody. What gives you the right, even a vagrant, what gives you the right? Who do you think you are to speak down to any human being, right? The Bible actually tells us, listen to this verse the Bible says, ladies, take it in from me, right? To think of others as more highly than yourself, to treat people as though you see them as higher than yourself, no matter who they are. If you have that mentality about everyone that you meet, you will be respectful and kind to every single human being. And that is what God wants, how God wants us to relate to every human being, right? And so not only men are turned off by that, God is actually very turned off by that. So if you do have that attitude, I want to ask you to look within and see if it's pride, if it is that you think you are better than people. Some women may think that their education, because of their education and where they're at in life and what they accomplish, that certain people are beneath them. Listen, that's not true. Okay, when God looks at you, he does not see a degree. He does not see that you went to this school and that person went to that school, that you went to convent and they went to junior sec. God doesn't measure things like we do. And he expects us all over the Bible. If you read the Bible, you'll see how important it is to God, how we treat others. Very, very important, right, ladies? And so you want to take that seriously if that is something that you've noticed about yourself. Or I'll be honest, very few women will notice that quality about themselves. People are going to have to point it out to you. And so if one or more person has pointed out to you that why do you speak to people like that? Why are you speaking to the waitress like that? Or why did you have to talk to the taxi man? Or why did you have to talk to the cashier like that? If you keep hearing that, ladies, go and do some introspection. You go and talk to God and say, Lord, search my heart and see if there be any evil, wicked way in me. And ask God to cleanse you of that way and make a change, right, ladies? It's not a desirable quality, okay? You know what? I didn't number these things, so I didn't know what number I reached. I have bullet point thingies by it, so I think this might be 6 or 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Women who, and this would apply for, I don't know if everybody on this call, if everybody's a Christian, everybody's a believer, but this is for the Christian woman. I was surprised that this came up when I asked the men, right? And it also was in a couple of the Christian, commentaries. Men are turned off, Christian men are turned off by women who make everything about God when it comes to like courting and dating. The holier than thou woman who, you're so, okay, this is a statement I don't like using. I'm just using it so you'll understand what I mean. That you're so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good, right? I'm not saying it's necessarily a statement I agree with, but I know it's one you can relate to, right? So that it means that you're leaving out the practical things because you're making everything about the spirit and every decision you'll have to make. So, right. So you want to go for, you ask them, what do you think we should do? Go for ice cream or go to the beach? Let me see what the Spirit of God is saying right now, because I want the Spirit to lead me, because if you go to the right, or a woman who might make a statement like, okay, or not statement. All right. So let's say, okay, I am a very firm believer of modesty, right, ladies? I'm a very firm believer in modesty and how a woman dress. But at the same time, I am also a firm believer in fashion and making yourself look presentable and carrying yourself properly. But if because of your spirituality, you think you have to dress a certain way and throw fashion out of the door for the sake of being a Christian, whereas anything you look, it's just you're just throwing clothes on because you think it's too carnal to try to look presentable, to put on a little makeup, to fix your hair, to wear something that make you look a little attractive. You think that's carnal. And so wherever goes, wherever, it don't matter. It don't have to match. It don't have to fit you. Clothes not important. Men generally are turned off by that, ladies, right? So I'm not this, and if you are spiritual and you want to keep everything biblical and stuff, that's great. But there's a practical side of dating and marriage, and a lot of it has to do with the physical and has to do with attraction. And so you might want to work on the, I'm not trying to make you, if it's modesty, you're on, fine. But you can be modest and fashionable. It's possible, ladies. And it might be something you need help with. No problem. I understand that, right? You could do research, you could check YouTube, you could see how to change your style and still be modest. But even also in your attitude and the things that you might say, it could be a turn off. Imagine a man, maybe he just make a little statement, or, because you're dating and you start speaking tongues because he tell you something you don't, just shut that, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. And you're the man like, what is the, if you start speaking in tongues in the middle of a date, ladies, if you start speaking tongues in the middle of a date, he must go. What man gonna stick? He picturing his life down the road, or they're trying to judge you. He trying to be cool and bust lines, and you speaking in tongues during the date, right? So it's a turn off, right? It's a turn off, not being spiritual, but being too spiritual and leaving the practical side of dating out of the picture, right? Christian men, that wasn't something that I even thought about, but some men told me about this, right? Next one. This is two ends of the spectrum here, right? Wearing too much makeup, like in the early stages of meeting a woman. Ladies, not wearing makeup, please wear makeup. Some of y'all need it. Wear it. Don't not wear it. I'm saying wearing too much makeup, right? When it becomes excessive. So actually, ladies, let me tell you all this, right? This might be, if you all have any male friends, you would agree with me. Most of the men that I know that I would have casual conversations about tell me they actually rather a woman who doesn't wear makeup at all or too much makeup, right? I have heard no man, I like how fake eyelashes look. Once it's not too long. I like how it looks. My daughter did it a couple times. I like how it looks, right? I have heard no man say to me that, oh gosh, this eyelashes thing, I love it, boy. I love it when my woman have on eyelashes. If she don't have on them eyelashes, boy, I not me like how she's looking, oh, she have to wear them eyelashes or else. I've never, no. They've actually, the men that are around me, all of them, I could, listen, if I take a survey now, they will all say they rather it not. Not saying that if you do have it on, they wouldn't like you, but it's nothing to them. It's like, okay, eyelashes, really? Like, I didn't notice your eyelashes before this, right? And if the makeup is excessive, like really excessive, it could be a turn off. That was also in every list, where it's too much, where you could tell that this is not even the person, that if you wash your face, like let's say you go on a first date with them and you were made up the way you normally make up, which is excessive, and they come and surprise you home the next day, and you open the door, they will say, hi, I came to Lisa, not knowing that is Lisa in front of them because the makeup totally transformed. You had on so much makeup that you were unrecognizable. Men actually don't like that, ladies. And in the church that I go to, we have a lot of young men. All of them say that. I don't think there's one that I've ever heard say I love women with makeup. Honestly, ladies, I don't think I've ever heard any of them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's right, catfishing. No, Olia. I never say don't wear makeup, eh? I have praised and thank God for the people who invented makeup already, for my sake, for a lot of people's sake too. Makeup certainly enhances you when you go out, and there's certain things that you could do to enhance how you look. Do it, right? I don't wear a lot of makeup because I don't know how to apply it, and I don't want to make myself a fool. So I don't bother. I just never bothered with it, right? But I know what the power of a good makeup could do, a good makeup artist could do, so I'm not against it. But it's just something about the excessive look that men cannot deal with. Just telling you, all right? And that's in the early stages. I'm not saying that if a man, okay, he could see past the makeup, right? And he gets to know you and he fall in love with you, that he wouldn't love you because, or he wouldn't be with you because of the makeup. But I'm saying it could be like, okay, let's say the men looking in a crowd and they see one with a paint on face and the others not so much. He probably not going to gravitate to the one with the painted on face, right? Next one. Women who are too insecure, overly sensitive, no confidence, and the man feels like if he has to walk on eggshells around you, right? Listen, I can't stress enough how much men cannot deal with insecure women. It's for them like work. It is like a load. It is like they are literally, it have to work because they have to constantly affirm and reassure you, your feelings. They have to constantly cater for your insecurities. It is like they're doing a full-time job, ladies. And no man wants to know he's with his girlfriend and he has to walk on eggshells as to what to say. Like he don't know if this word would trigger a reaction, or if I say this, make this statement, it would trigger a reaction. If I tell her, like, okay, if you change your hairstyle, you had your hair one way for all the time, and it's cool, now he liked it, whatever. But if you change your hairstyle and he really doesn't like it, right? And he mentions it, you go into a whole world. It becomes like you're offended, you perhaps even cry, when you don't find it attractive, and my hair, and blah, 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 and you have to go down this whole road, and the man saying, listen, all I'm saying is your hair was looking great before. So I'm just saying this hairstyle doesn't suit you so much. So if a man feel he can't tell you little things like that, his opinion about things, it's like he's like, you know what's going to happen, and you wouldn't like that either. You might think you're okay with that, but you wouldn't. He would see you looking a certain how that, in his opinion, is not attractive, and he would just not tell you anything. And I, being honest with my husband, I used to appreciate when he would tell me, like you go and do your hair or whatever, and you come back, he say, what are you going on there? He might not have the best way of saying it, right? But that's our relationship, right? And I'll be like, what, you don't like it? And he'd be like, nah. He always used to tell me a long time, my hair used to look perfect before I go to the hairdresser. And when I come back from the hairdresser, it's like, what did you do? You left here with your hair looking great. Why you had to go and, do that or whatever, right? Or if I put on something and he'd be like, that's not too, no, ladies, it might be rough, but I'm married 22 years. So I know my husband, you know what I mean? I comfortable. He'd be like, that's what you're wearing? You're wearing that to go? And I'll be like, well, yeah, I was starting to wear it. And he'd be like, nah, I feel you, right? I feel you need to, and he would give his 2 cents, right? It actually it probably used to get to me, if I'll be honest, in the earlys or of marriage, yes. Maybe I would say it might have gotten to me, but not after a while, no. Because I realized he's telling me because he's giving me his opinion about, I am his wife. The Bible actually says, ladies, hear this, right? This might be a revelation to you today. The Bible says that the wife's body belongs to the husband and the husband's body belongs to the wife. And the two are one. So his body is mine and mine is his. There are things that I saw my husband tried to put on and I told him, he buy a pants. I don't know what got him them recently. It's like, them plaid pants that old men is wearing now. I know it have a plaid kind of thing going that if you find out just starting to get greasy, like all of a sudden is a hot flash and that it's happened. Yeah, it will pass, right? And I think what he was trying to do is mimic the young people with their plaid. There's a plaid thing I see going, right? There are a couple of cool guys in our church, and I see them, and I know, okay, this is style. So he tried. And he bought, I think it was a jacket set or something like that. And I was like, listen to me. I said, listen to me. I said, listen to me and listen to me well. I said, you cannot go anywhere with that. I told him straight. I said, Kerwin, you cannot wear that. Do not put it on, right? I remember the Bible say, so I know, okay, so I know how I want my husband to look, and he know how he wants me to look. So I said, Kerwin, you cannot put that on. And he gave it to me to put in my thrift store. He was like, okay, well, thrift it, right? And many times he would put on something and he would ask myself or my daughter, how this looking or how whatever. And I'd be like, no, no. And so if you can't take simple, little criticisms like that from your, let's say your boyfriend. Now, again, I know there's a extreme to it, ladies. I know there's an extreme. I know there are men who nothing that you could do will satisfy them because they're trying to turn you into the porn star that they have in their mind, or they're trying to turn you into Nicki Minaj or what's your name, Kim Kardashian, right? I'm not talking about that kind of man who's looking for the porn star trophy girlfriend or wife. I'm talking about somebody who loves you and just really giving you their genuine advice and sharing their opinion. If a man feels he cannot do that in any area at all, right, because you are so insecure and he has to be, right, and you have no confidence at all, none, it's going to be a turn off. If he picked that up in dating, ladies, it's not going to be too long before he like, okay, he will probably, this is going to be work. That is a form of high maintenance as well. You always have to reassure the person, right? So your insecurity and your overly sensitive ways, and you could bring crying into that too, like where women just spontaneously burst into tears, and men, this is another thing. Every man has told me, they're like, Nix, what do I do when the woman starts to cry? What do I do? Because it's not like sometimes you might say, okay, I'll hug them, or do I say, okay, like, well, I don't know what to say or do because I don't even know why they cry, right? And so that puts a man in a position where he's always like, okay, what to say, what to do, where to go, how to walk, right? So work on that. That is hard work though, because if you are insecure to that extent, it's probably some deep-rooted issues. And so I would suggest to you, if you on this call and you are single and you be honest with yourself, ladies, and you know you're very insecure and you are very sensitive, do not go into a relationship now. I beg you, do not do it, right? Next one. This should be a given, but it's not, and it was also on all the list, right? It kind of ties in with the woman who is all about God. A woman who is unkept and has poor hygiene. Unkept meaning not that you're maybe not fashionable, but you're not the most clean person. You're okay to go out with a pants with a rip. Your hygiene is not the best. There are certain things you're just not concerned about, that it doesn't come across as feminine, right? And if men pick up that those are things that you don't care about, all men want a feminine woman. They want a woman who likes to make herself look pretty, like to smell pretty, like to make her hair look. And if a man pick up that that's just not your vibe, or let's just say you're just generally sloppy. Let's say you go to a restaurant and you're dating, right? And you go to a restaurant and this is you. And the guy would just be like, what am I seeing right here? Even if he doing it, ladies, let him do it. You don't do it too. Don't follow him, right? So if you're there and you're licking your hand and you're sucking the bone and on a date, if you can't, okay, most people on their best behavior when they're going on a date. If you can't keep up appearances, even on a date, if you go on a date, you want to put your best foot forward. And so if a man seeing you, oh, I thought my laptop shut down there, right? Seeing you come out on a date with him and you looking anyhow, right? And he's like, what? This woman coming looking like this. And then when you sit down in the car, he gets a smell, and it was not a pleasant one. Let me give you all a little hint. If you sit in a car, you're going on a date, a guy comes, picks you up, you sit in the car, the glasses were up, and when you sit in the car, he turns down the glass. I want to suggest you say, I'm coming back now, eh? and run upstairs, take a shower, and put on some perfume and go back. All right? No man wants to know he walk around with a woman whose her hygiene is not the best, who has a high body odor. Work on it, ladies. That's a given, right? But it's a big turn off for men, right? Next one. I'll move fast because I want to get to the important stuff, right? Women who are, what if she, yes, what if she showered before? I know there are women who they have issues. It's true. It is something that you have to find ways around it. There's special deodorants that you could use, different soap. Sometimes it is an actual medical issue. Agreed, right? So, but still, you shouldn't take it for granted that a man is going to be okay with it, though. Yeah, yes, detox, do whatever. But if you realize people keep telling you, people close to you, keep telling you that gosh, something up with your odor, whatever. Look into it. Don't just leave it like that. That's all I'm saying, right? If it's that type of problem. But that is possible, yes, right? Next one, women who are self-centered and talk a lot about themselves. Everything is centered around them, always concerned about how they look, to the point of even self-centered and to the point of neglecting him, doing things like canceling a date, superficial things, canceling a date because you have nothing to wear. When the guy knows your wardrobe expanding from it's 10, your wardrobe is 20 foot long, and you call in a whole thing. I'm not coming anymore. I don't have anything to wear, so I'm canceling the date, right? Things like that, self-centered. How self-centered is, like, men really don't like that. He on a date with you, and you're talking, you'll go out to get to know each other, and you spoke for the entire time as you sat down, ladies. Some of you all have a talking too much problem, right? From the time you all sat down, you just there, your problems, your issues. And I grew up and it's my father, my father's my mother, and I grew up and now it's my cousin, and he there, and he's like, yes, wow. And you never even thought to stop and say, so what about you? Enough. I said enough. Let me hear about you. If he don't stop you, you go on and on and on. It's all about you, right? And self-centeredness could also look like, again, somebody who's concerned about somebody who is concerned about everything is them. Do I have no, that's in the serious list, right? We'll get to that in the serious list. You can't look past you. You can't forget yourself. Everything has to be about you. I spoke about this earlier. Everything has to cater to you. The environment, the music, where you're going, everything. The car seat have to be, it kind of ties in with the complainer, right? But the person who is just self-centered, right? Not allowing, okay, you had a tough day, but you going rattling off. And women, this is something that men tell me too. Don't get vexed with me and don't get vexed with the men, right? It may sound like it's sung and insensitive when a man says this, but many, many, many men and husbands have told me, why women talk so much, girl? Say, hey, sometimes I just want to rest, but it's talk. So ladies don't get vexed. So apparently there's something, if there's an extreme too, there are the women who closed up and my hair sticking out like that. Sorry. Yeah. You're just talking and not giving him a chance. It's just, and after a while, it just sounds like that. And actually, a lot of them tune out after a while, right? And so that could come across as a bit self-centered, because now, if the man don't want to talk, that's different, right? But if you go out on a date with somebody and it's a getting to know each other, but it's all about you, that's a turn off for the guy. If he leaves there feeling, well, okay, I didn't even feel valued. Like, was I even there? Or was that date just about her? I felt like like he felt like, okay, my opinions, what about my life? What about it's like he didn't feel valued. You were able to say everything that you wanted to say and express yourself, and he left there feeling, well, okay, well, So the self-centeredness, ladies, you need to take it down. If you want to be in a relationship, you have to take it, even though you have lots to say. You have to give him a chance to talk to, let him. And let me tell you something, in the early stages of dating, it's important to let the man talk. Let him talk. Make him free enough to talk and tell you everything, because you want to get information about him, his past, his family, and so on. Let me move faster. When you start to talk about family and children and things too early, you see, when you start to ask too serious questions too early, well, look at that. Your husband have a sleeping pill right there. Honey, I can't sleep. Talk to me now. Honey, I get in trouble to sleep. Tell me how your day was. In 2 seconds, he out. Sorry. Right. If you on your third date and you started to ask the man how much children you want to have, that'll scare them. Ladies, I'm telling you, I know of a real life instance. Yeah, it's just the comfort of your voice, darling. You're right. Yeah. I know of a real life instance of a couple that started getting close, and the guy really genuinely liked the girl. It was actually a long distance thing, and they would chat and stuff. But she started like a couple months in the chatting to talk about family and who would live where. Like, she brought up something like, so who would move? And he was like, what the heck? How we reach there? You talking 2 months, this person, you don't start talking about children and who migrating and whatever. And that was it. That was it for him, He locked the person off. It scared him, right? And so if you're on a date with somebody, you're single, don't start getting into that too early. Man's just trying to get to know you, ladies, right? So that's a scary thing for men. Next one, if you can't seem to get along with his friends, none of his friends or family. If it's you criticize all his friends and all his family, you don't like his mother, you don't like his father, you don't like his sisters, you don't get along with any of them, or none of them like you, that's a red flag for a man. Now, ladies, not if none of them like you because of your race or because of where you work or because of those types of things. I'm talking about something about your attitude, that his peer family, nobody on his side like you, and you don't like them either, that's a red flag. But if he's genuinely trying to get you to, because a guy wants to know, you don't have to be buddies with all his friends, but at least he wants to know that you can get along and everybody know you and you could be together and coexist and have good conversation. But if that can't happen, it will be a turn off that guy, right? If none of you don't like any of his friends, and in fact you have issues with all of them as well, right? So you need to watch that, ladies. Final thing in the simple list. Gosh, boy, I didn't really plan to go so long with that. This simple things, If you in your initial interactions with the person, you come across as too independent and you talk a lot about your accomplishments, you talk a lot about money, and you present yourself as not independent, too independent, where you make statements, well, like, I don't really need anybody, I've done this in my life. I have 2 degrees. I make $30,000 a month. And like, those are things that are like really feathers in your cap. They're things that you should be proud about, things that you accomplish. But that don't mean nothing to no man unless he's looking for a sugar mommy. I'm telling you, no man going and say, hey, I meet this woman today, she making $30,000. Oh gosh, boy, she's sweet. That's not the things that turn men on. And so if that is something that he realized, and money, like making a certain amount of money is important to you, and material things, like, that kind of extremely driven person, a man sees red flags. Ladies, I'm telling you, it's a scary thing for them. And you might say, well, is he kind of man? It depends on the kind of man. No. Even the most accomplished man wants to know that he could bring some value to your life and that you don't come across as a woman who don't need him for anything. If he feels that he's not going to bring any value into your life, men are by nature providers, protectors. They want to be those things, right? And if he feels he's not going to add anything to your life, but in fact, you're going to be the one with all the accomplishments, it could be a turn off to him, unless, of course, he's looking for somebody to mind him. Then he would just stay quiet and say, well, I hit the jackpot here. But he would take a lot of crap from you because he wants to accomplish another goal, which is to live off for you, right? But it's not Those things are not, men don't look at those things and be like, wow, she has 2 degrees. Wow. Wow. No, right? So you don't present now for a man. If you have all those things would be for him like icing on the cake. So that's like, watch me. This woman, she real sweet boy. She's talked to me so gentle. I really love how she's moved. She's get along with my family. She, and listen, and on top of that, the girl educated boy. So that's something that will come after. But that's not the thing that the man going to say wow about, right? Trust me. So if you are presenting yourself, if those are the things you bring into the forefront as your assets, that could be something like a turn a man off, no matter how much he could offer, right? Right. So ladies, we're going to the serious stuff now. I pray that I could get through all of them, right? I will go fast. This is the serious stuff. These are things that over time can end a marriage. I kid you not, right? A woman who is too controlling and nagging. Controlling at all, nagging. Ladies, I asked the men last week for their list. Every time I ask them for a list, controlling is almost always number one. The number one turn off, or the number one thing that they don't like their wives to do. Controlling and nagging. But the ironic thing about life is, ladies, most women are controlling and nagging. And you might see that as a simple thing, but I see that actually as a plan of the enemy to bring a wedge between couples and to cause a gradual decay in marriage and in communication and in, connection. Because any man who feels over time that he's being controlled and he's being continually nagged by his wife, it is going to cause a breakdown. Ladies, men just cannot deal with the constant yapping and controlling, right? They just can't control everything they do, right? Which, let me tie that in with another one on the list. The constant giving advice. We call it giving advice, right? I learned this in my marriage. And it's something that I would always say, no, Kerwin, I'm not trying to control you. I'm just trying to help you, right? I'll give you an idea of what is controlling, right? So this is practical for me. You might think it's as advice, but men see it as controlling, right? Okay, so I'll give you an example. Let's say in finances, right? I'm working, you working. You have your money, I have my money. I have an account, you have an account. Let's say we have a joint account as well, right? I'm the man. I do not tell you what to do with your money. I don't tell you cannot buy a shoe. I don't tell you that that's too much perfume. You already have 4, you can't get a 5th. But you are trying to tell me how to spend my money. You are trying to control me and tell me that I spend too much here, or you spend too much there, or you're telling me what to do. It also comes across as mothering, right? You are trying to, you telling me what time I should be home. Is your husband, ladies, is not your son. It's not your nephew you're moving with. It's not your brother, right? So any woman who is trying to restrict her husband's time. Now, oh gosh, ladies, I'm talking about here within reason. I'm talking about a normal relationship. I'm not talking about no drunkard man who you know in a rum shop drinking, or somebody who've had affairs before and you are suspicious of him. So you're trying to make sure I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in a normal relationship, right? So there are always exceptions to the rules and there are always extremes. I'm talking about all things being equal and normal. You just want to control his time. You want to control his money. There are little things too that irritate men. I notice this, right? So I'm a driver. My husband is a driver. I actually have to make a conscious effort. I'd be like, hey, when you're swerving too much to the right. Why are you driving in the middle of the road? He cannot deal with that. He said, if you want to pull over, you want to drive? He said, do you want to drive? And I'd be like, okay, no, I don't want to drive. And he might park. I was like, Kerwin, why you park there? We could park. Look at how parks right over there. And he'd be like, men cannot deal with things like that, right? Especially if it's all the time. Oh gosh, don't do that now. So, example, for me, is like, let's say where he might put something, he might rest something down. He will rest something on the counter and I'll be like, no, don't rest it there now, rest it, right? And he'd be like, I want to rest it here, right? Now, women do it all the time and they don't think it's controlling it. They think it's them trying to keep an order or trying to help the man, right? But ladies, you know when you would understand how a man feels? If a man used to do you what you do to men. If he used to try to control what time you go, how long you with your, when you go out, how long you're there, want to find out who you was with, want to control how you, even how you walk, how you talk, how you dress, you would understand. And many women do that to men and they think it's them helping, and but they end up mothering them. He buttering his bread, right? And you see, why you buttering the bread like that? That's not how you butter bread. Any man you tell that to will say, I didn't know it had a way to butter bread. This is how I want to butter my bread. Woman, leave me alone now. I am sure. Try it in the morning if you're married and you see your husband buttering bread. Go and say, that's not how to butter bread. Why you buttering bread like that? He will either watch you like you're mad or say, right? So little things like that. Nitpicking at everything, right? Trying to control a man's life, everything he does. Ladies, it's and the nagging. Nagging is like you ask him to do something. You ask him to do something. You ask him to change your light bulb. This is something I learned early in my marriage, and it has helped me tremendously, right? To have peace in my mind and my heart, in my home, to have a normal blood pressure, to be able to sleep at night, right? This has helped me for that. Peace, normal blood pressure, never high, and sleep, go to sleep, peace, right? If I ask you to change your light bulb for me, and I come back an hour later and the light bulb not changed, and I said, change the light bulb for me now. I come back the next hour, 2 hours. Oh gosh, I say change the light bulb, and obviously he getting vexed because you asking him. He just not feeling to change the light bulb right now, right? I cannot force him to, what I learned, I cannot force my husband to do anything that he doesn't want to do or in my timing either, right? Especially if it's something like changing a light bulb, yeah? And so what I have learned over the years is because of peace sake, and I don't want to be just nagging somebody to do something over and over and over. I either try to do it myself, ladies, taking nothing out of me. If I can, if I can't, I can't, right? In most cases, if I can't do it, like I cannot change the light bulb in our porch, right? Most other light bulbs, we have a step ladder, I could do it, right? And I can't change the one in the corridor. So if I ask him, he would do it. He would do it one time. But the ones that is not urgent and it's just one blow, but it have another one in and it's not a be in darkness, it could take your time, but you could do it, right? I'm not going to nag you. First of all, I have other things to do. I don't want to spend my time and energy trying to get you to do something. And so I move on. When you do it, you do it. If I can't do it, then I have to just humble myself and wait for you to do it. If I could do it myself, though, I not play that game. I know women do that. I could do it myself, yeah, but I want him to do it. No, I'm sorry, that's not me. That could be you, right? If I could do it myself, I am doing it. If it's something that could wait to do and I don't want to do it, then I don't do it, right? But that kind of dependent thing where it's just to prove a point that you should be doing this and you should be doing that and you should be doing this, right? Yeah, 500 years later. I good. So if I'm doing it, if I can do that, good. So the controlling nagging, ladies, that is most definitely, I would say, number one, that men cannot take the controlling and nagging. It emasculates them. It makes them feel like I'm married to, I have a second mother, right? And they can't deal with that, right? Lack of respect. Somebody who's disrespectful and always criticizing them. Disrespectful, so this is a lot in one. Disrespectful, even making not outright disrespect, but making critical statements, even to the point of gestures and facial expressions, especially in public. Men do not like to be embarrassed by their wives, by anybody, but most of all their wives. And so if your husband tell you something or something happened and you think you mightn't say anything, but you screw up your face and everybody see, or your body language, you walk off, let me say you grab something from him and you walk off, you didn't say a word. And so you say, well, how I be disrespectful? Me, I say nothing, but your whole body language is disrespect. And people saw, listen, men in those moments, they just feel like I could just not deal with this at all, right? I could just not deal with this. It's embarrassing for them. And even when you do it in private, the critical statements that you would make, there's outright blatant disrespect. But then sometimes women know how to throw certain words. They know how to be on the border now, not to be out. So you can't say I'm being outright disrespectful, but I'm making statements that could either hurt the person or come across as disrespectful. And even your face and that kind of thing, right? We'll come to your statements and questions at the end, right, ladies? So please, I'm not ignoring you. It's just that we'll address them at the end. Yeah, right? So the disrespect, ladies, and contrary to what, hold on now. Right. Contrary to what most women think, they think that men have to earn their respect. I want to ask you all a question, right? I'm looking for your honest answer. I don't know what you all think, right? Do your parents, like when you were a child growing up in their house, did your parents have to earn your respect as a child? You disagreed with your parents. I'm sure you disagreed with things that your parents did, things that your parents disciplined you for that you didn't agree with, decisions they made. They did hurtful things and said hurtful things to you. Did that earn you the right to be disrespectful to your father or mother? Answer that question, ladies. You could answer it in the chat. No. Janelle said no. Nope. Nope. Listen, no. As wrong and as strong as your parents were growing up, I grew up with my father who would have said and done things to me that were very hurtful and disrespectful. I was never able to be disrespectful. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't. I had too much respect and fear and reverence for my father to be disrespectful to him and my mother. Them being disrespectful did not earn, and something that a lot of women think they lack when they get angry, they get emotional, and they say, well, I don't have self-control. As a child, something my husband told me that shook me up years ago, early in our marriage. He would say to me, when I say, well, okay, when I got angry, and that's why I burst, that's why I had that outburst, or that's why I said what I said, or did what I did, right? And I apologize or whatever. And he'd be like, let me ask you a question. He said, you ever got angry with your father and had an outburst like that with him? And I'd be like, I'd be like, no. He said, is it that you didn't feel to? Or is it that you were able to control it? And I was like, well, yeah, even though I felt like cussing him, even though I felt like walking out, even though I felt like saying, I hate you, like little children, say, I just couldn't do it. I found the self-control and I had respect, and I know I could not speak to my father that way, right? Oh, no, I was going to make a statement, but it would have been really, really off, right? So somehow I was able to find self-control with my father, but I would have these outbursts with my husband, right, in our early marriage. And the Bible says, ladies, right, and we have this honor and reverence for our parents. Now, that's the average person. I know we have people who out there and them and even care them cussing their mother too and father, right? But we know those people are out of order. The Bible says that we should honor and respect our husband and that he's the head over us. And so the same amount of reverence that we would show to our father and to our mother, in fact, even more we're supposed to show to our husbands, ladies. I mean, I know you're all hearing this and thinking, what is one really saying here, boy? That I have to respect my husband like I did my father, or even more. It's not me. I read it last week for you all. You all remember I read the scripture in Ephesians 5. It says, wives, obey your husbands as you obey the Lord. The husband is the head of the wife, just as Christ is the head of the church and the people. And the church is his body, and he saved it, right? So ladies, it's not my words. I'm not asking you to do something. I'm not giving you my advice. I'm telling you what God says you have to do as women. And so I know women say, the man have to earn my respect. That's not true. That's not true, right? You don't have to agree with everything he does. You don't have to agree with all of his decisions. Your husband may be out of order. right? It still does not give you the right to be disrespectful or to dishonor him, right? And so, yeah. So yeah. Sorry, ladies. So, I mean, I know that's something that I actually said last week that I'm going to do a whole topic on submission and that kind of thing to help women to understand where to draw the line. Because ladies, please don't think that I don't know what your thoughts are and you're thinking about your situation and your husband, right? And so I want to be able to explain and be able to tell you all, you know, but he doesn't have to earn your respect. That's a wrong thinking, right? So I'm just saying that. And if you don't believe me, you can get into the Bible and you'll see for yourself, right? I want to say something to you ladies. The ladies that are single, ladies that are married, it's too late for you, right? The ladies that are single, you don't have to do any of this. You don't have to submit to no man. You don't have to honor and respect no husband. You can choose to stay single. But if you get married, what you are doing is placing a man as the head of your life, right? Nobody asks you to go and look for the people and their man and marry them. If you want to be Miss Independent and you don't want to obey your husband, you could stay single. It is your right. In fact, Paul encourages people to stay single, right? But don't go with your fast self and say, I want a man, I want to get married, and then I can't submit. I don't want to do nothing the man say. I'm just rebellious. And stay single in school. You can handle it. God will help you. Yeah. But don't go and get married and then try to do everything you're not supposed to do in a marriage, right? That was number 2. So clearly, I'm not going to finish all of this because I'm going to have to rush it through. You all tell me what to do because I have 10. Should I go through the 10 or should I leave it for next week? I'm asking you all because I have what I've only gotten through 2 and I have 8 more to go. Okay, so far the next week's habits. Oh gosh, next week is next week I down in Celebia. Next week I down in Celebia. Well, I'm gonna go fast. I'm going to go fast. And if you have to leave, you could catch it on YouTube, but I'll go faster, right? I'll probably revisit it sometime another, but next week is Carnival Monday. I'll get into it more the following, but I'm gonna go through the 10, right? Because we really don't have a session next week, right? The next one, number 3, is having a sense of entitlement and not showing gratitude for the things he does for you. Having that sense of entitlement, this is what a sense of entitlement looks and sounds like. You have to, you as a man, you have to provide for me. And I need to get X, Y, and Z. I need to get, this is what I feel I deserve as a woman. I have to have my nails done every week, my hair done every week, my toes done every week. I need a certain amount of food in the house. And these are things that you have to get for me. It is your duty. It is your right. You have to provide. You want wife? Take care of wife. So you have to give me this. You have to be entitled to this. And you have your list of things that you're entitled to. Now, and people who are entitled do not show gratitude. And so with that entitlement, there's no gratitude. It's not like, so you think that the things that your husband doing for you, your husband is working, all right, as all husbands should, and providing for you. It's a pressure for them. We spoke about this last week, right? The responsibility of having children and a wife and a whole house and a life to take care of, it's a pressure for men. And you are not showing him gratitude. You are treating him as though this is something you ought to do. So what I thanking you for? What I thanking you for, ladies? You will win your husband's heart. If at the end of the month, yes, he working and he should be taking care of you. But if you just go to him and say, honey, I just want to tell you, don't think I'm not seeing that you're going to work every morning. Don't think I'm not seeing that you're working for the family to provide for us. You buy a car, we pay a mortgage, we always have food in the house. I'm not saying your husband perfect, right? But people who have this sense of entitlement think you ought to do this for me. And thank you is not necessary because it's your job. Because it's your role as a husband, I don't need to be showing gratitude. You had to do this. Wait to be feel as just so. You want wife, you had a mind, man. Right? that stinks, ladies. That is a bad attitude. And after a while, you will become so undesirable to your husband. You could come outside in the sexiest lingerie. He don't want nothing to do with you. If he feeling like nothing he could do is good enough for you, right? And so that sense of entitlement kills desire for men. Where you have the, well, I'm your queen. You gotta treat me like a queen, right? Which takes me into the next one, number 4, when women show double standards in their marriage. So you putting pressure on him. Let's say you putting pressure on him to provide a certain standard of living, right? And you are not willing to put in the work in return. So you pressuring him, you gotta do this as a man, yes, a man, you gotta do this, you gotta provide this, use the man here, you gotta make sure the children this, you gotta get blah, blah, blah. And if he asks you to cook for him, if he say, I'm hungry today, you could cook up a meal instead of buying food, you offended. Well, you feel like this? We feel like you're maid? You feel like you're maid? I work all day. Wait time about cook, right? So you have double standards, right? Or you expect him, now woman, I'm not saying that marriage is supposed to be like, okay, remember I spoke about the codependency. I scratch your back, you scratch my back, right? But if you want to put pressure on a man, men see it, they know when you're putting pressure on them to be the superman, super provider, super whatever. You got to provide everything. And you as the woman, he might ask you to do simple little things for him and you cannot do it, right? You cannot do it. And which leads me, ladies, I'm going fast. I mean, there's a lot more I could say about that, right? But I want you all to be able to ask questions, right? Which leads me to the other one, withholding sex and intimacy in a marriage, right? After a while, he could just not even want, listen, after a while, ladies, it had nothing you could do, if he give you, it's because he, I don't want to, but women who withhold sex, or they only in the mood for sex when the situation is ideal, ladies, that is wrong. Men and women are different. And if you feel you are only obligated to have sex with you, I don't want to use the word obligation. I only like to have sex. Everything, the mood had to be right. I had to be in the mood. It had to be this, that. Men are not like that. And if you are somebody who you're using the fact that he lacks in certain areas for you not giving him sex, right? So it's like, well, you're not doing so, I'm not giving you nothing, right? That is borderline evil, ladies. And I know a lot could be said about that, but it's really evil and it's actually against the word of God as well. To withhold sex from your husband for reasons like that. I know women and men are made up differently. And so that most women has to be emotionally invested to have sex. But it is wrong when you tie it in with your entitlement and because he not providing or not doing or whatever. So it's like you want sex from me, you had to, again, this just so, we feel it's just so, you had to do certain things, right? That's wrong. And then if you all had an argument, or if he did something to hurt you, and you know he's gonna come eventually for sex, and you decide to withhold because of that, ladies, that's just downright evil. I'm sorry, and it's going against the word of God, and certainly not God's way and plan for marriage, right? I'm moving right along. Criticizing everything he does. We kind of spoke about this before. You criticize how he dressed, how he talk. You're basically trying to change him and make him into somebody else. Everything about him you criticize. And not only privately, you do it publicly. You correct him openly. Oh gosh, no, that's not how that's not the word you're using, the wrong word there. No, speak properly now, speak slower. Or how you walking so? Or, what you're trying to do, you're trying to end your marriage. Men cannot deal with that. So the open criticism, even if the criticism is in private, if he's feeling like everything he does is not enough for you, eventually he would feel like, well, I really am not enough for you. Like, what you marry me for? If you don't like how I walk, how I talk, how I dress, how I look, what, you know what? That is going to mash up the intimacy and his desire again to be with you, right? And moving on again, undermining his authority. You are always undermining his authority. And let's say he makes a rule in the home and he says, no TV, on a weekday after 7 p.m., right? That is a rule in this home. No TV after, and your husband could do that. No TV after 7 p.m. Everybody go and read a book. Children only go and read a book. And you undermine his authority and you tell the children, come to you and say, Mommy, Daddy say, oh gosh, Mommy, please. And you say, yeah, we'll take you on. You go and watch TV. What you trying to do, ladies? What you're really trying to do? First of all, you are going against God and you are trying to destroy your marriage. Is it that you want to be married or you don't want to be married? Is your goal to be happily married or to be right or to get your way in a marriage? Because sometimes the two cannot go up. Sometimes you will never have a happy marriage if your goal is to always be right in everything. So men do not like their authority to be undermined, and women try to do it in various ways all the time, right? Number 7, always needing, I think I spoke about this, always needing affection and a love, a reassurance that they love, that your husband loves you. I'm not talking about you have to have affection and showing affection and love in your marriage. But I mean where your husband always has to reassure you that he loves you. You always doubting it. You always think, you don't love me. Like if something happened, you don't love me. And he have to convince you every year, every so often throughout the year, he has to convince you that he loves you and affirm and reassure and talk and try to get you. And it's not necessarily because of something that he's doing wrong. It's because of your insecurities. Little things trigger you. And you have this general feeling of being unloved. And so you're always doubting your husband's love. You also always, I'll tie it in with, you always think because of your insecurities and maybe some trauma you had in your past, you always think he cheated on you. You're suspicious about everything he does. The man is just on a work call or chatting for work purposes or whatever, but you always think it's some other woman. You're always accusing him. You're always investigating. That is going to break your husband down or weigh him down. It's not, ladies, your marriage will not last. It can't go on like that. Now, again, I'm not talking about a man who is cheating on you and who has been unfaithful, or you have proof of him. I'm talking about you've never had any proof, but you're just always suspicious, maybe because of what you saw growing up in your home or a past experience you had, right? That's gonna mash up your marriage, right? And it's a big turnoff for a man to have to always be reassuring you emotionally, right? Last one, because I have others, but I kind of tie them in, so I'm not gonna go it over, right? I tie them into the earlier points. Talking his business in front of people. That was the only time in Kerwin and my relationship, not marriage. When we were dating, he told me something in confidence. I was very, very close to my mother. She's the only person I would tell anything of my business. There was no other human being I would tell anything personal about myself. Nobody. If you know me, it's on the surface. But I would tell my mother everything. So he told me something very personal and I told her. I told her very innocently. And I didn't even tell her, like, well, don't tell him I told you, because I didn't even see it like something like that. That's the truth, right? And she said it in front of him sometime. She said the thing. And when he realized, I told my mother, she kind of just said, oh, so Nick told me, so. She really didn't, I didn't think it was that serious, neither did she, because obviously she's saying it to him. And he answered her, and he was very cordial and everything. And when we left, he said, well, Nick, I done it, just so. I'll never forget it. He was like, I done it. He's like, we were caught and he said, I done. He said, I told you that in confidence. He said, I think what got him upset and hurt, his mother didn't even know that. He never even told his mother that. And I went and I told my mother. So it's something that he told me in confidence, but I really took it lightly. And he said, done. That's the end. He can't be with somebody who he can't tell his thing. And I, like a stupid little girl, I said, but Kevin is my mother. I didn't go and tell a friend or somebody. He's like, what difference it make? That's how we end up saying, my mother don't even know about it, right? Say we done. He told me he done. Ladies, you all want to know what I did? We were in a relationship about 3 years already, right? But maybe 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. He said he done. I said, okay. No. I was like, okay. I was like, well, all right. I was working for him actually, right? And so I was like, okay. I went my way and he went his way. And the next day, ladies, I'm just being honest, I just moved just the same way I would move like if we're in a relationship. I didn't cry. I went home and I said, I was like, done my foot. He could have done with me. That's what I said. And I just got up the next day and went and I moved like normal. I apologized. I was like, I said I really didn't take it as serious, whatever. But long story short, ladies, it was like a betrayal. And if a man, if you go and talking your personal business, your marriage issues, or talking personal things that your husband told you, or things that happen in your home, in the privacy of your home, confidential things, and you are taking that outside of the home, that is something that could really break down your husband and destroy your marriage. Men just cannot deal with that. That would be a betrayal to them, and it could end your marriage, depending on what it is, ladies. And if it's something that you keep doing, that is something that could end your marriage. It could really cause a serious, it can cause him to not trust you. And he will no longer want to confide in you because he's afraid, because your mouth loose. And so you have to look at that. That's not, you don't tell nobody your personal business that happened in your home, in your marriage, ladies. Are you crazy? You don't tell a soul. Unless you are going for professional help, you keep those things to yourself, right? That brings me to the end. I kind of rushed it through, but I want to give you all an opportunity. I'll revisit it week after next. But I want you all to ask me questions, make your comments. Celeste, you can read the comments that